OutSystems is a software development company,
Mhm.
basically. So, I mean, where do you think we are in the UK with software? I mean, have we got good software writers at the moment? I mean, how do you think we stand in relation to other countries, for example?
So I think we're one of the best actually, and I think we have a very, very good pool of individuals within the UK who, in my experience, are some of the best developers in the world, and I would give us a run for money in building and architecturing software globally. The problem we have is we have the best companies in the world developing in the UK as well. So it's a bit of a catch-20 in terms of you've got the best developers, but you've got the best companies. So that's promoting the skills shortage. So it is we have the right people, but we have the demand outstrips what we have. And I think the technologies that are needed today, I remember when I was at university, there was one UX class in uni. One. I only did uni 13. I was only at uni 13 years ago. How can there have only been one UX class? But I didn't think about designing for anything except a CRT, a monitor. It was all there was when I was designing. So my point being is, I think that we do have to address the education system about getting people into IT, but I think the ones we are producing are doing very, very well. So my take on the skills and the quality of professionals in the industry here in the UK, if that's what you're asking, is that we're not marketing ourselves well enough to get them into IT. But what we are producing in the IT sector, I think, are some of the best in the world. And I think we as a country, we as a government, we as IT leaders need to think strongly about how do we change the perception of IT in schools? How do we change the perception of IT in homes? And I think that's something that we really need to start to think about. Otherwise, we will need to import talent into the UK. And I think that's where other countries, other governments are doing better than us. They have a better positive message for IT within their institution. And I think I don't see our government doing much to promote IT. You see them promoting everything else. They don't do enough for us as IT professionals.
So, I mean, where do you see the current wave of software development going? Where are we heading for at the moment?
I think mobile is a when you say a wave of software, you're talking about what types of applications or the trends and patterns?
Well, a little bit of both, really.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the key is designing usable applications agnostic of device. I think when I'm out in the field, absolutely, I'm telling my sales team, we as an organisation are thinking mobile first. Organisations know how to deliver good enterprise web applications. When it comes to having the skill, and it goes back to skill set again and experience, when it comes to delivering for a mobile, really, really struggles. And I think what I think organisations need to think about is the consumer is, Amazon shopping is done online for me. My Salesforce tracking is done online for me. Meeting notes for today done on my iPad for me today. I think users are demanding the ability to have their information to them in the format that works best for them. So where I see the trend and pattern going is to be able to bring both business systems and consumer systems available to the consumer in the format that they're most comfortable reading it. And that varies for everybody. My sister absolutely does everything off an iPhone. It's her generation, it's what she does. Her messaging is all done through Facebook or WhatsApp. My father still will only use his computer. He doesn't want to go down the iPad route at the moment. He's comfortable looking at it in a way that he's familiar and secure with. So I think organisations need to really understand their consumer and build for mobile. That's the area that we're seeing that organisations are finding the most challenging, and then user adoption, making sure the applications that they do deliver are being used by the target market. And I think that, and I've said it before in one of my blogs, and I think you've picked up on that before as well. Applications don't fail because they're not functionally rich. An application can give you everything you need it to do. Will it succeed? Depends on how intuitive, how well that UX has been thought out, how responsive it is to the device that you use it on. So I encourage every organisation, when you're thinking about your strategy, please ensure that UX, please ensure that that it's agnostic of device. Make sure that they can use it in whichever device that they work from.
Now, of course, mobile seems to come hand in hand now with the cloud, which is a word that's bandied around a lot these days. And there seems to be a number of different definitions of it, but I know that you OutSystems tend to look at hybrid cloud
Yes.
a lot.
Mhm.
Can you explain a little bit what hybrid cloud is, and why do you think it's important?
I think it's important because it gives ultimate flexibility and control to an organisation. It really, really is. For me, I've seen cloud work in a way that allows organisations that were shackled, that were hamstrung before, to become very nimble and very agile in their entire application development lifecycle. And it allows you to achieve new levels of efficiency, productivity and speed by seizing strategic control of app dev. And that never has been done before. And that's what I'm starting to see the change within organizations. They're really, really being able to become quick and proactive as opposed to reactive. And they're doing it by three key ways. One is control, and that's control through all aspects of the application lifecycle. Having a hybrid cloud strategy means that you can get this level of efficiency, productivity and speed right throughout the application lifecycle, from development to deployment, continuous integration, iteration, maintenance and enhancement. All of that leverages that productivity and the gains that the cloud offer you as an organization. Keeping that to one side, it then also gives you cost, a lot of flexibility and saving in cost as well. You know what you're going to pay, you know how much you're going to pay, you can scale it up, you can scale it down when you need to. And in addition to that, you don't have the heavy upfront cost that's required of getting an application off a project off the ground because of the overhead that comes with infrastructure. So I think that's a big benefit that the cloud brings. You're not held to any decision you make on the onset with the cloud strategy. So if you do want to dev and test in the cloud and then promote to production on premises, you can. If you want to start developing in the cloud but you need to bring it in-house once the project gets momentum or speed, you can do. You're not bound to any one type of cloud strategy. You can start to move between the two, and I think that freedom means that you can start to be very flexible in the way you approach your development strategy using the hybrid cloud. And First Carbon, client I mentioned earlier, they've done some really interesting things. I do recommend reading up about First Carbon, but they needed to deliver within a short amount of time for their client. They started their development in the cloud, and they're now working with the client that they're developing this application for. They're in this the carbon sustainability business, to whether they can develop that on their client's private cloud, onto a public cloud, or even on premise. So they're not bound by any constraints that the cloud gives you. You can move between, depending on how your corporate strategy works, you can move between the three options. It goes back to David and Goliath, and I'm seeing for the consumer, for a business, smaller companies can compete with large organizations, or the small team in a large organization can compete with the internal big boys, because it doesn't cost a lot of money to get an application up and running. It doesn't cost a lot of money to try something new. And if you build it right using a platform like OutSystems or another to support you, it means that you can, if that application takes off, it's got all the non-functional requirements built in, it's scalable, it's robust, it's ready to keep going. So I'm really starting to see small organizations, pounding away at the ankles of the larger organizations, saying we're here, and the cloud gives us the ability to compete with you without the level of investment that was needed before and would have blocked us out the market. So overall, for me, I think the cloud is doing some wonderful things for our industry.